Ever since the Central Bank of Nigeria announced its intention to introduce its own central bank digital currency, the CBDC, tagged eNaira, both the media space and court of public opinion have been abuzz with seemingly unending reports and commentaries on the initiative. Good evening, I am Chinemerem Joseph, the anchor of You and the Economy. When this weekly television magazine program was flagged off, we made a solemn promise to always examine the issues and subjects featured on it from divergent angles and not in any straight-jacketed and patronizing manner. And we believe we have always lived up to that promise. It is in further fulfillment of that pledge that today's edition of You and the Economy will address some of the critical reactions to the decision of the CBN to float a digital currency as part of its resolve to further deepen Nigeria's payment system. As you shall see, quite a number of the reactions and comments triggered by the decision of the CBN to introduce the eNaira are born out of genuine concerns and the desire to have the Apex Bank shed further light on the perceived grey areas of the payments system. However, others, many of which are deeply unflattering, are largely driven by sheer ignorance and obvious misunderstanding of what the CBN's digital currency initiative is all about. You and the Economy now x-rays some of the compelling critical comments trailing the decision of the CBN to introduce the eNaira and offers explanation to lay to rest the controversies and misconceptions generated by such comments. I'll be back with you at the end of our story.
It's a welcome development, and moreover, eNaira is just like introducing another means of payment. It's a digital currency that can be denominated in various ways, and then it can be used for any means of for payments, make business faster, make the transaction faster.
The whole world is going electronic now. So if we look at it from that perspective, it's a very welcome idea.
The world is a global village, and Nigeria as a country cannot exist in isolation. We have to go in accordance with what is obtainable, with international practices.
This eNaira will serve more better, and I pray that they will do it so that it will favor people.
eNaira can be used anywhere cash can be used, because it's just a digital representation of it. You can use it to buy whatever you want to buy. You can use it to conduct transfers of money between your accounts and eNaira. If you walk into a ShopRite today, for instance, if it was launched, you should be able to use it to pay. If you go online, where merchants accept Naira, you should be able to see the possibility to accept eNaira.
There is no doubt that the arguments advanced by the Central Bank of Nigeria for introducing its digital currency, the eNaira, are sound and indeed very compelling. These arguments have been well articulated and explained in the last two editions of the program. Nonetheless, even as the reasons proffered by the CBN for the birth of the eNaira are profound and robust, some observers have questioned the move, saying it is ill-timed and that the introduction of a digital currency at this point in time should not have been accorded top priority. These observers hinge their position on the alleged poor timing of the digital currency's emergence on the argument that it has come at a period when the economy of the country is beset by numerous crippling challenges, especially the alarming rate of the Naira's depreciation against major international currencies like the US dollar and the British pound sterling. What should be the topmost priority of the CBN at this period, they argue? is for the Apex Bank to focus on collaborating diligently with fiscal authorities to resolve those critical economic problems rather than the introduction of a digital currency. In addition, such critics believe that the introduction of eNaira will throw up teething problems that may distract the CBN from focusing on and tackling what they perceive as the more pressing issues of the day that it is mandated to tackle. But simple logic shows that these critics have got it all wrong. And here are some of the reasons why. No matter how strong an economy is, it can never be 100% stable, as it will still contend with some challenges. If it is not battling inflation, it may be unemployment or even homelessness. An economy that is apparently thriving may actually be struggling to fill a physical infrastructure deficit or fix balance of payments deficits arising from unbridled consumption of imported goods and a weak capacity to generate products and services for export in corresponding quantum to imports. Indeed, all these challenges are prevalent even in many Western economies. But central banks in those countries never cease to develop new products on the pretext that they must concentrate solely on tackling pressing economic challenges. To do so may amount to fully applying the brakes on innovations. This is inconceivable, as every central bank inevitably contends at any given time with one economic challenge or the other faced by the nation in which it holds sway. What's more, developing new products is yet another way through which central banks actually tackle economic challenges. So, while it is incontestable that the Nigerian economy is going through a difficult patch, it is equally untrue that the CBN has abandoned its responsibility to tackle those challenges through the discharge of its mandate, simply to enable it develop its digital currency. Besides, the CBN is a big organization with 5 directorates, and not all of them bear the core responsibility of developing the eNaira. Therefore, the notion that developing the eNaira and managing the possible teething problems its introduction may throw up have diverted or would divert the attention of the bank from tackling pressing economic challenges is unfounded and an illogical conclusion that is based on wrong premises. It is, plain and simple, a fallacy of generalization of sorts in which a single preoccupation of the Apex Bank is misconstrued as the whole of its functions. Again, inasmuch as the eNaira is legal tender currency, even if it is not physical like the analog naira, developing it is in line with one of the core mandates of the CBN, and it is not assuming an extraneous responsibility by so doing. Above all, novel as the eNaira system is, it is not the first out-of-the-ordinary e-payment system that the CBN has introduced. It is noteworthy that when it did previous ones, attending to the teething problems triggered by their introduction did not compel the Apex Bank to abandon the discharge of its other mandates. It is safe to reason, therefore, that it shall not be any different with the eNaira. On the nagging issue of the continued deterioration of the exchange rate of the naira, the CBN has not folded its hands and resigned to fate simply because it focused on developing the eNaira, as some critics allege. This is particularly so as the Apex Bank continues to introduce dynamic measures to stabilize the naira exchange rate.
So if you have been following the events of the previous days, you would have noticed that Central Bank is doing everything it can to be able to stabilize the naira, which is one of our core mandates. And it takes all of us in the country to be able to stabilize that naira. For example, the shirt you are wearing right now, I'm not sure it's made in Nigeria. If we would look inwards and buy made in Nigeria goods, then we will not be seeking for dollar. Therefore, it will not be scarce. That is one fundamental issue. So we need to have a change of attitude. However, having said that, while we're working on stabilizing the dollar, we actually believe one of the benefits of eNaira would be to encourage people to adopt the use of Naira. So instead of using physical cash, which may be difficult in conducting certain transactions that are online, you would be able to now have a digital representation, and you'll be able to buy goods and services that you would otherwise have used some other means, including the dollar, to buy. This will mean we may have more remittances into the country, therefore show up our reserves, so the supply side will increase while we're dealing with the demand side, as I share about change of attitude.
One of the critical issues stoked by the decision of the CBN to float its digital currency, the eNaira, is the contention that its introduction is a clear case of double standards. Proponents of this erroneous notion anchor their position on the misunderstanding that cryptocurrency and the CBN's digital currency, the eNaira, are the same in entirety, and that the CBN purportedly banned cryptocurrency only to go behind and introduce its own version of the same currency. But again, and as it has been hinted already, this view is totally wrong. As you will now hear, the CBN never banned cryptocurrency. Not only that, it is equally a blatant mistake to misconstrue eNaira for cryptocurrency. And here are the reasons why. eNaira is a legal tender backed by law and the full sovereignty of Nigeria. Hence, it is issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and not by a private entity. However, cryptocurrencies are private digital currencies not backed by any known law or underlying asset or by the sovereignty of any nation. The implication is that cryptocurrencies are not legal tender currencies. Moreover, unlike cryptocurrencies, eNaira is a unit of account, store of value, and medium of exchange.
Cryptocurrencies, they are not backed by any authority. This one is a legal tender, is a unit of account, is a means of payment. Cryptocurrencies don't have all these alternatives. And that's what we're doing for Nigerians, and giving them something that is safe, that is secure, that is a unit of account, and that can be used as a legal tender. Let me correct one impression. CBN did not ban cryptocurrency. That is a misrepresentation of what CBN said. CBN said we don't want to have the effect of cryptocurrency on our financial systems. One of our mandates is to have financial system stability. And if you allow, if you call a currency, a cryptocurrency, to all the effect, this volatility in prices and all, into our financial system, it might bring down the entire financial system, and that's not what we want. So we said we will have our regulation on the regulated entities as are licensed by the bank, and the other things around cryptocurrencies are really personal decisions. And so it's private money, right? So it's left for the individual to decide whether you want to go into cryptocurrency or you don't want to go there. CBN cannot prevent or stop you from doing that. It's purely your decision.
It's not actually a cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies are mainly private sector driven. People invest in, you find people invested in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, but that's not what we are going to get with the eNaira.
Due to the almost limitless and seemingly uncanny ability of information technology platforms and software to capture and store data with uncommon efficiency, fears have been expressed in some quarters that the processes involved in accessing eNaira, which provides for the capture of several sensitive personal data, may infringe on the privacy of users of the payment system. Not only that, there are also reservations that unauthorized access to such data will expose users of eNaira to dangers of having their privacy infringed upon or abused. But the CBN has assured users the chances of such an aberration occurring are infinitely remote.
In terms of privacy, so your information as a person is not kept on the ledger. Therefore, people don't know don't see who is transacting. We see that money is moving towards buying maybe more sugar in the economy. We see that people are buying perhaps more clothes. We see the velocity of money. But we don't see that it's moving from Mr. A to Mr. B unless there's a special reason to do that, which would now dovetail into our anti-money laundering laws, anti-terrorism law, and all that, anti-counterfeiting laws. So that is our privacy. Whatever privacy is entitled to you according to the rules and regulations of the land are maintained.
As you were told in the maiden episode of this mini-series, product development is an essential and inherent preoccupation of actors in the banking sector and financial institutions generally. Evidence also abound in Nigeria's financial services sector to amply show that the country's payments system is now well developed. What with the variety of e-payment system alternatives that are now available to people willing to conduct financial transactions electronically? This has led some Nigerians to wonder if eNaira should be a priority, especially considering the variety of payments options that are currently available. But this argument demonstrates a poor understanding of the norm in the financial sector, where the players must continue to develop new products and services in the interest of their customers and to remain competitive. And this again is one of the reasons why the CBN introduced the eNaira, to further deepen the payment system, serve the people better, and at even cheaper cost.
It's about variety. They say variety is the spice of life. Yes, we'll have other e-payment channels already in place. The eNaira is going to exist side by side with those other products. So it's just another product, but this time coming from the central bank.
Traditionally, deposit money banks, better known as commercial banks, intermediate between various consumers of banking services. This occurs when these customers use their respective banks to conduct financial transactions among themselves, especially in paying each other for goods and services purchased, and also to save their money. And as the issuer of legal tender currency, the CBN, on its part too, also relies on banks to intermediate between it and end users of the legal tender it issues, since bank customers obtain the cash they spend through the banks. Moreover, the Apex Bank deals with consumers of its products only through commercial banks and not directly by itself. Even if the final user of cash did not need to visit a banking hall to lay hands on cash, the fact remains that the cash ultimately got to them through a series of actions initiated by banks. It is no surprise, therefore, that returns from their intermediation role in the form of fee-based income is a core profit center for commercial banks. One of the benefits of digital currency is that individuals and corporate organizations/merchants who embrace it as a means of payment can conduct these transactions directly by themselves without involving their banks. And they can also do this now simply by using their eNaira wallets to effect the payments. As a result, fears are being expressed that the introduction of eNaira will undermine the intermediation roles performed by banks and deny them of the significant profit they make from performing those roles. This clear and present possibility, known as financial disintermediation, is believed to be capable of throwing some banks into crisis from the loss of a traditional source through which they derive a huge percentage of their profit. But this is yet another erroneous notion that suggests a gross misunderstanding of the impact of the introduction of the eNaira. And here are the reasons why the notion is wrong.
The central bank, has tried to take care of that by using caps, or transaction limits. So if you are on tier 1, for example, you can only do 50,000 naira maximum. You can send 50,000 naira, you can receive 50,000 naira, subject to a daily balance of 300,000 naira. If you're on tier 2, you can send 200, you can receive 200, subject to a daily balance of 500,000. If you're on tier 3, you can send 1 million, you can receive 1 million, subject to a daily balance of 5 million naira. Of course, for merchants, there is no limit as to the, what you can sweep into the e-wallet. So by using these limits or these caps, it ensures that at no time will the banks really be at risk in terms of their deposits running out. So I think the central bank has taken care of that. It also creates opportunities for the banks to innovate around the eNaira. And since the central bank will not be encouraging conversion from eNaira to cash, okay, you're allowed to convert from your deposit to the eNaira. Okay, you're also allowed to move from the eNaira to cash. But of course, the central bank says, in line with the cashless policy, it may not encourage that. And that's why if you want to do that, you are likely to pay some charges, which of course the banks will, will be involved in. So the banks too will benefit, one way or the other, through this process.
Expectedly, the introduction of the eNaira will continue to generate fresh reactions and criticisms. And no matter how jaundiced or ill-informed such rejoinders or comments may be, you and the economy will be analyzing and putting them in their proper perspectives, an exercise that promises to be of immense benefit to both the CBN as issuers of the eNaira and the audiences it is targeting, with a view to getting them to embrace the new e-payment system.
Welcome back. In 3 successive editions of the program, including this one, we examined the digital currency initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria. In 2 out of those 3 editions, we enlightened the public on the gray areas of the payment system that they may find confounding. Some of the serious questions that we believe shall be frequently asked by members of the public who want to avail themselves of the benefits of the novel payment system were raised and answered on those editions of the program. In this edition, we addressed the critical comments stoked by the digital currency initiative and analyzed them. This was done to correct the misconceptions and ignorance that informed many of those comments. Besides, we told you that some of the reactions were triggered by genuine concerns, while others that were born simply out of sheer malice represented for what they truly are, mischief. In all of these, we believe we have made you better informed about the eNaira payments system. As key developments regarding the introduction of the eNaira unfold, you and the economy shall bring them to you on this same platform. And as we sign off on this edition of the program, we exhort you to once again feel free to reach out to us in the event that you wish to seek clarifications on any issue we have analyzed or explained on the eNaira that you do not understand still. You can reach us via the CBN website. It's www.cbn.gov.ng, or you may call the CBN Contact Center on 0700-225-5226 to seek those clarifications. We promise that you will be attended to. Well, that is it for now on this edition of the program. We look forward to having you with us again next week. Until then, it's goodbye.
you.